The psychology of people who keep distance even inside a relationship often starts with a paradox. They want connection, but closeness can feel like danger. Not because they don't care, and not because they're cold. For them, emotional intimacy is tied to the risk of losing themselves, being controlled, or being rejected once they are fully seen. Distance becomes a protective strategy, a way to keep the heart involved while keeping the nervous system safe. They don't run from love as much as they run from the feelings love activates in them. Need, vulnerability, dependence, and the fear that those needs will be used against them. You've probably met someone like this. The relationship looks stable on the surface, but something always stays slightly out of reach. They respond, but rarely initiate. They show up, but they don't fully arrive. They can be charming, competent, even deeply loyal. Yet when you try to move closer, they suddenly cool down, get busy, change the subject, or pick a fight over something small. It can feel confusing because the distance comes and goes. One day they're warm and present. The next day, they're emotionally locked behind glass, and you're left wondering what you did wrong. To understand this pattern, you have to stop viewing it as a personality flaw and start seeing it as a nervous system solution. Human closeness triggers two competing systems inside the brain. One is the bonding system, oxytocin, attachment, safety through connection. The other is the threat system, amygdala, stress hormones, the alarm that says, "This could hurt you." For people who learned early that closeness can come with emotional pain, criticism, unpredictability, or loss of autonomy, intimacy doesn't automatically register as comfort. It registers as exposure. Their brain interprets being needed as being trapped, and being seen as being at risk. In many cases, this comes from an avoidant attachment style, but that phrase can sound too clinical, like a label stamped on the forehead. So let's put it in real terms. Imagine a child who learns that asking for comfort leads to disappointment. Maybe their caregivers were emotionally unavailable, too busy, or affectionate only when the child performed well. Maybe warmth came with strings attached. Approval when you're easy, distance when you're messy. Over time, the child's brain adapts. It learns a survival rule. Relying on others is unsafe, so I'll rely on myself. That rule can create impressive independence. High achievement, calm under pressure, strong boundaries. But it can also create invisible walls in adult love. The adult version of that child often becomes skilled at functional closeness. They can be great partners in practical ways, helpful, responsible, consistent with actions. But emotional closeness is different. Emotional closeness means being seen in your softness. It means admitting you need reassurance. It means letting another person matter enough to have power to hurt you. For an avoidant nervous system, that's not romance. That's risk. So distance is not the absence of feelings. It's the presence of a specific fear and the brain's attempt to manage it. Here's what typically happens inside the mind when intimacy increases. First, there's a brief moment of warmth. They enjoy the connection. They feel relief. But then the internal alarm starts whispering, "This is too much. You're becoming dependent. You're losing control." The brain quickly looks for an escape route that doesn't look like an escape. It might say, "I need space," which can be healthy. But it can also say, "My partner is too needy," or "This relationship is distracting," or "I'm not sure I feel it anymore." Sometimes the mind manufactures a problem to justify pulling back, because pulling back without a reason would make them feel guilty. One of the most common triggers is the moment a relationship becomes emotionally real. Defining the relationship, moving in, meeting family, planning the future, saying, "I love you," or having a vulnerable conversation about needs. For many people, those moments create safety. For the distance keeper, those moments can activate a threat response. It's like their brain hears commitment the way another brain hears danger. Not because commitment is bad, but because commitment implies exposure and permanence. The nervous system starts preparing for future pain before it happens, and the distance becomes preemptive protection. Let's put this into a simple real-life scene. Picture a couple on a couch. One partner says, I feel like we don't talk about our feelings. I want to be closer. That's not an attack. It's an invitation. But inside the distance keeper, the body might react like it is being cornered. Their chest tightens. Their thoughts speed up. They don't feel invited. They feel evaluated. Their brain translates, "I want closeness," into "you're failing me," or "you're about to demand something I can't give." They might respond with logic, irritation, or silence. They might say, "Why do you always make a problem?" And the other partner feels rejected. But in the distance keeper's nervous system, the reaction isn't, "I don't love you." It's, "I don't feel safe right now." This pattern often includes a specific internal belief. If I fully trust someone, I'll lose. People with this belief may not consciously think it, but their brain behaves like it's true. Their psyche treats dependence as weakness, so they keep a safe zone, a mental and emotional territory the partner cannot enter. They might avoid deep conversations, keep parts of their life separate, not share inner struggles, or shut down during conflict. They remain physically present while emotionally absent. It's a way of staying in the relationship without giving the relationship access to the most sensitive parts of them. Another key piece is how they handle emotions. Many distance keepers are not emotionless. They are overwhelmed more easily than they admit. Their nervous system may be sensitive, but instead of expressing vulnerability, they manage it through detachment. This is where the brain's regulation strategy matters. Some people regulate by connecting, talking, seeking reassurance, sharing. Others regulate by deactivating, downshifting emotional intensity, distracting, focusing on tasks, withdrawing. Deactivation is not bad, can be functional. But when it becomes the only strategy, closeness starts to feel like an emotional flood, and distance becomes the only way to breathe. You can see this in the way they respond after a really good moment. After a deep date, a passionate weekend, or an emotional confession, they might suddenly pull away the next day. The partner thinks, "That was amazing. Why are you colder now?" But the distance keeper often experiences closeness as an intensity spike. Their brain needs to return to baseline. Think of it like someone who's sensitive to bright light. After a bright room, they need darkness to recover. It's not punishment, it's nervous system recovery. The problem is, if they don't communicate that, the partner interprets it as loss of interest, and the relationship starts spinning in confusion. Now let's talk about why this happens even when the person genuinely wants love. Because the human mind doesn't always choose what it wants. It chooses what it believes is safe. If early experiences taught them that closeness equals criticism, rejection, or engulfment, the brain builds a predictive model. When people get close, something bad follows. The mind then starts scanning for signs. It becomes hyper-alert to any hint of dependence or control. Even normal relationship needs, like wanting more time together, can be interpreted as invasion. Their identity becomes tied to autonomy. They don't just want independence, they need it to feel stable. In some cases, the distance is also about self-worth. If deep down they believe, "If you really know me, you'll leave," then closeness becomes a countdown. The more the partner sees, the more the person expects abandonment. So they stay partially hidden. Distance creates plausible deniability. If you leave, it's because you didn't know the real me. It's painful, but it feels safer than being fully seen and rejected. Another real-life example. Someone who is affectionate when everything is light and easy, movies, jokes, intimacy, shared hobbies, but shuts down when the partner is sad, stressed, or asks for support. They might say, "I don't know what to do with emotions," or "I'm not good at this." Underneath, they may feel helpless, like they're about to fail. Many distance keepers grew up in environments where emotions were not welcomed. They learned that emotional needs were either ignored or punished. So when a partner shows need, it activates their own unresolved helplessness. They pull away not because they don't care, but because caring feels like responsibility they don't trust themselves to handle. There's also a subtle reward loop. Distance can create short-term relief. When they withdraw, the anxiety drops. Their body relaxes. The brain learns, withdrawing works. That relief reinforces the behavior, making it more likely to happen again. Meanwhile, the partner often reacts by pursuing, asking for reassurance, trying harder, seeking clarity. That pursuit increases the distance keeper's alarm, which increases withdrawal. This becomes the classic push-pull cycle. The more one person seeks closeness, the more the other seeks space. Both are trying to feel safe, but their strategies clash. If you want to make this truly understandable, imagine two different coping styles in the same room. One person regulates fear by moving closer. Talk to me, reassure me, stay. The other regulates fear by moving away. Give me space, don't ask, let me breathe. Both are nervous system responses. The tragedy is that each person's strategy triggers the other person's fear. The pursuer's closeness feels like pressure. The withdrawer's distance feels like rejection. Without awareness, they start misreading each other's intentions, and the relationship becomes a loop of misunderstood protection. So how do you tell the difference between healthy boundaries and emotional distancing? Healthy boundaries are clear, consistent, and respectful. Emotional distancing is vague, inconsistent, and reactive. Healthy boundaries sound like, I need an hour to calm down, then I want to talk. Distancing sounds like, you're overthinking, nothing's wrong, I'm just tired. While the emotional door stays shut, healthy boundaries still include connection. Distancing avoids connection when it matters most. And here's the part many people miss. Distance keepers often feel lonely too. Their autonomy protects them, but it also isolates them. They can be in a relationship and still feel alone because they never fully relax into being held. They may crave closeness but fear the cost. That internal conflict can show up as irritation, restlessness, or emotional numbness. Sometimes they don't even realize what they're doing. They just feel off when intimacy increases, and they assume the relationship is the problem, not the pattern. Now, if you're watching this and you recognize yourself in it, the goal isn't to become a different person overnight. The goal is to become more conscious of your nervous system, because awareness creates choice. The first step is noticing your triggers. When do you pull away? After closeness? During conflict? When someone asks for reassurance? When you feel like expectations are rising? If you can name the moment your internal alarm turns on, you can start separating danger from discomfort. Intimacy often feels uncomfortable before it feels safe, especially if you learn safety through self-reliance. The second step is learning to communicate your internal state without blaming your partner. Instead of "you're too much," you can say, "I'm getting overwhelmed and my instinct is to shut down. I care about you. I just need a moment to regulate." That one sentence can change the entire relationship dynamic because it reassures the partner while honoring your nervous system. It turns withdrawal from rejection into self-regulation. The third step is practicing small doses of vulnerability. People often think vulnerability means dramatic confessions. It doesn't. It can be as simple as sharing a real feeling in a simple sentence. "I'm anxious. I'm afraid of disappointing you. I don't know how to ask for support." Small honesty builds tolerance. The brain learns a new prediction. Closeness doesn't automatically lead to pain. That's how attachment patterns change, through repeated experiences of safe connection, not through willpower alone. If you're the partner of someone who keeps distance, the most important move is not chasing harder. Chasing can intensify their alarm, but disappearing can confirm their belief that closeness ends in loss. The healthiest approach is steady clarity. You can say, "I respect your need for space, and I also need emotional presence in a relationship. Let's find a rhythm that works for both of us." This is not an ultimatum. It's a boundary with respect. It tells them, space is allowed, but disconnection isn't the default. Sometimes, the most healing thing you can do as a couple is create a predictable structure for emotional contact. For example, having a short weekly check-in where you share one hard thing and one good thing without problem-solving immediately. Predictability lowers threat. The avoidant nervous system relaxes when it knows what to expect. Intimacy feels less like a trap when it's contained, respectful, and consistent. And finally, it's worth saying clearly, distance is not automatically toxic. Some people genuinely need more space to feel balanced, and that's normal. The issue is whether distance is used as a weapon, a punishment, or an escape from any emotional responsibility. The goal of a healthy relationship isn't maximum closeness all the time. It's flexible closeness, being able to come near, step back, and come near again without fear, games, or confusion. If you remember one idea from this video, let it be this: the person who keeps distance is often protecting something fragile inside them. An identity built on independence, a heart that learned not to lean, a nervous system that mistakes intimacy for danger. Their coldness is often a strategy, not the truth. But strategies can be updated. With awareness, communication, and safe repetition, the brain can learn a new association. Closeness can be stable, not suffocating. Vulnerability can be met with care, not punishment. Love can include space without becoming loneliness. And if this topic hit a little too close to home, that's not a sign you're broken. It's a sign your brain learned to survive in a certain way, and now you're ready to understand it. If you want, write in the comments which pattern you relate to more, pulling away or chasing, and I'll make a next video about how the push-pull cycle forms and how to break it without losing yourself or losing the relationship.